From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter Questions Live. I'm Ken Napsa.
I'm Jen Landa.
And I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and we're happy to be live. We have so many studios that say something related to live that we were bouncing around to different studios, all trying to be on the same page for our first little experiment in doing this, the Q&A show as a live show.
That's right. We have that show, Star Wars Questions. It's been in existence here for a while, and we kind of had to pull back on doing it. Not that your questions weren't great, but just, maybe we like changing things up, going into news, doing ranks, doing this, but we wanted to bring it back to hear from all of you. So we do have a question pre-selected. We're going to answer it, but then we're going to take your questions live. If you're here in chat, and we have several people checking in, like David McKay, Jay from Nowhere, Jay Seed, all you have to do is leave a question. We'll star it. And we're going to come back to it at the end of the show. Super chats, super thanks, of course, always welcome. They really do help the show. But we're just happy you're here on a Monday recording. Jen, are you ready to be grilled live by the Star Wars fans of our
grilled live? No. On Instagram, I was saying that we're going to go live. And here's my dog, Mala, who would not get out of my seat. I had to put Mala away. So I brought Lady Sparkles. Where is she?
Oh, yeah, bring her all the way in. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, she just keeps going.
Oh,
like
yep.
Crawl.
Yep.
So
like
she's
the
here.
Star Destroyer. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
When we recorded our news episode, we took a little break, and I came back to the studio to see if the files were uploaded. And Jen, all I saw was your dog sitting in your chair with a microphone.
I love it.
There we are. So we're all here. So Lady Longboy.
Lady Longboy. Is that Long Furby's name? Suggested from Jeannie from Tahini in the chat.
I love it, Lady Longboy. She still
Lady
needs her
Longboy.
eyelashes, but she's looking good. I shellacked her face. Yeah.
Oh, you shellacked. You shellacked on the weekend.
Will she? Will Lady Longboy look less alarmed when she has eyelashes?
No, this is me checking blue sky every 5 minutes.
Oh man, this is
excellent.
See, this is it live. The live energy of a Furby jumping in. So we're here live, warts and all. Sometimes when we're recording, our internet fluctuates, and sometimes we're pixelated, sometimes we're not. We're here live. We'll release some clip outs. But because this is a recording of an actual podcast episode, we do want to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Joseph, we've been recommending a classic this week. Which one is that for our listening?
Rebel Rising by Beth Revis. We have been recommending this since the book came out. I think it is one of the best Star Wars books, personally. And I think for wrestling with dark times and how to deal with a galaxy that's maybe not going great, this book, I think, will make you feel less alone.
It will. Saw has some ideas on how to do it. But no, it's a great book. We love it. Yeah. He's got some ideas.
But
and Andor season 2, he's still going to have ideas.
Oh, he's always got ideas, and they're very similar. But it is really great to pick up with Jen and see somebody wrestling with how to have a life in time of crisis. It's really great things, and it's a young adult book, but there's some very adult things in it. Highly recommended. Listen away. Listen at work.
Listen at work. Yeah, fight back. Listen at work. That's right. There's some smooching in the book. Some Irving Kirchner smooching. Joseph, we have a wonderful pre-selected question. Like I said earlier, we'll be taking questions from the audience. We got a couple starred. So take it away with our first big question.
Yeah, if you are a paid patron, I put up a call for questions as we used to do. And we're experimenting with this live queue, and like Ken said, we're going to take one from patrons to kick us off, and then we would love to take your questions live. But if for some reason those don't come in, we can grab a couple other here from patrons. But we're going to start with this question that came to us from Jules, Jules. Jules, what documentaries would you like to see made, Star Wars related, as well as outside of Star Wars? Jennifer, I feel like Ken and I have gone on and on about various documentaries we've loved over the years. Before we even get into the answers, are you a documentary person? Are you a documentary fan?
I love documentaries. I love Star Wars documentaries. Star Wars has so many. Most recently, Light and Magic,
Hmm.
which is on Disney Plus. I think is fantastic. And I really struggle with this question because I'm like, but there's already so much great stuff out there, right? But I
Hmm.
was thinking, what we have not gotten a lot of, which I don't think that they're going to release it, but it would be the post Disney behind the scenes sequel. I'm talking like raw footage in the writer's room with Kathleen Kennedy, warts and all of this production process, which, I don't know. There's a lot of talk about how things went down. Maybe it wasn't as crazy as it was as people speculated, or maybe it was. I would love to see that. I love anytime there's like the writer's room where they have the note cards up. I want to see the note cards.
Yeah.
You love
The
note
note
cards.
the note cards are really fun and so dangerous if you give fans any inkling
Right.
of
Mhm.
an
Oh yeah.
alternate idea. And
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people will be like, "Oh wow, why didn't you do that?" But I also think that people fall into the trap of an idea that is just an idea and has not been executed it almost always sounds better because it's just an idea. It isn't reality. And also, if you give people option A, the thing that exists, or option B, the thing that didn't exist, I just think there's something in human psychology where people like should have done option B, the thing that doesn't exist. That's my only fear of seeing the note card board, but so be it.
So be it. I love that idea, Jen. I don't know if we'll ever get that.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Well, I think we could get a version of it, and I think
Mhm.
that it did the how raw.
Yes.
I think that we're getting close enough that we could get, for like the 10, well, it's going to be the 10-year anniversary of Force Awakens this December. So
Oh,
maybe, well,
Mhm.
I'll kick that back from 10 years to 15 or 20.
Mhm.
But like the dream reawakens or something that's more about just like
ooh.
the not just like how did you write the Force Awakens, let's get the truth about Harrison Ford's leg being broken, but
Mhm.
more like get an interview with George where he's still willing to give it about, he said it before, but with some years in the distance, his complex feelings of giving it up and why, and the initial thoughts of how are we going to do this, following through to like the excitement of the opening night of Force Awakens, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think something like that is a possibility if it's mostly just interviewing all the people who were involved. And if it could be pitched as, and of course, the happy ending is Star Wars was successfully relaunched.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good.
I love that. I jotted down the idea for just something called the sale, which would just focus on sale
Mm.
and who would produce that doc. I don't know, and who would sit down for it, but just the lead up to it. The only big chunk of information I think we have on that, at least that I have, is like from that Iger book, which
Hmm.
Joseph, you
Mm.
and I both read in different times. And I thought it was interesting and honest, and as much as that book could be. Um, but yeah, you're pitching kind of a better packaged version of the sale, but the story could start there. But the dream awakens, all that kind of stuff, or returns. That's fascinating to me because it's not just simpler times, but it was a massive, surprising undertaking that I still, in my heart, sometimes am like overjoyed that it actually happened. The
Hmm.
sale, more things, more Star Wars to have.
Yeah. And somebody is saying in the comments that that a lot of the existing behind the scenes stuff that Disney is doing comes off as a little bit more promotion than getting into
Agreed.
the nuts and bolts. And I agree. In fact, there's a line in my film script about that. Not the Disney Plus in general, but just how behind the scenes things on discs have changed from
Mm,
really digging deep into a little bit more of
mm,
promo. Uh, I always feel like you watch stuff on DVDs or Blu-rays, and there's some magic hill that gets passed where it's like this is now just interesting to people. In enough time
mm,
has passed or something has changed that nobody's gonna get mad about it, and so it's safe to talk about the drama of the past.
Mhm.
It's safe. Somebody was mentioning the Industrial Light and Magic, like Lucas
mm,
butting heads, with Dykstra. It's safe. So, Ken,
mm,
what do you think would have to happen
mm,
other than time? What's the mountain to get past where talking about the challenges of making The Force Awakens is safe to talk about, and nobody's gonna get mad about it.
Yeah, I don't want to say the loss of any more people, I should say, in the cast. I guess getting the circle of lawyers and NDAs. I don't know. I wonder too how much it's Abrams. I'm not, and I don't. That's not a putting it on his feet, but like, this is the deleted scenes. Even to get him out from him was a bit of a fight. He doesn't like him, and I actually kind of agree that overall, deleted scenes, they're fun, but I don't take them as gospel. But the whole loose lips, sink starships kind of vibe that was going on, necessarily. It might just be personalities in a way that maybe, like you said, only time can heal. I'm still surprised the Light Magic doc, Dykstra, and some of the stuff that was said, and George as well. It was great to hear, but and they said it in Empire of Dreams in a softer focus, shall we say? But it was it might just be time.
Yeah. Jennifer, do you think there's anything other than time that will make it easier to talk about some of the behind the scenes drama?
I think with the sequel trilogy, it is difficult because some people don't see it as a success, even though it was. And so I don't know. I think time people will be like, oh yeah, actually those films were great, or they were huge hits, blah, blah, blah. But it's too soon, I think, which is like funny. It's like almost 10 years, but it feels too soon.
David Aspimo says, I mean, when the threshold be that the sequel trilogy becomes universally loved? I think so. Or people are being introduced to it for the first time, and this is just more information, like the way all of us absorb a movie from the 50s or the 60s. None of us are trying to win some battle, based on what happened behind the scenes in Jaws. It's just interesting.
Did you hear the shark didn't work? They named it Bruce.
It's really funny. I'm sure this happens other places, but since Los Angeles is an industry town, I usually hear it when I leave the house. Like, there's a number of times that you can overhear a conversation where somebody's like, it's like when the shark didn't work on Jaws. Like, I've heard it in bookstores. I've heard it on public transportation. I've heard it in museums. Like, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Ken, did you say what Star Wars documentary that you would like?
I talked about The Sale, which, because I like docs that, Star Wars is such a wide open galaxy of things to cover that kind of zero in on things. Those ones are the ones that kind of work well for me, but not counting bands or specific things there. But there's that. I put down the idea of one just kind of about the prequel generation, and how they were affected by Star Wars, and how that grew, how that changed. Talking about getting over that threshold where the conversation changed, and just an open, honest look at the prequels, including warts and all, feedback and all, interview clips and all, but just tracking the actual influence of Star Wars in that era on the young kids or those who love the films, and where we are now. A subset of that one is one specifically on Jar Jar Binks, the creation of it, the technical achievements, the fallout. I think Ahmed Best has wanted to do this in his own way as well. And especially celebrating it as a technological achievement, paving the way for so much stuff that came after it. So that could kind of all be in it, but going back 25 years, 30 years almost, crazy to say, to that. Yeah, actually, it would be, I would want to, part of the existence, part of the journey was of our existence as Star Wars fans during that era was hearing rumors. And then in November '94, they announced it. Like the mid '90s and the prequel journey definitely begins there.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. It says Zvetnik 1138 talk to the prequel kids whose uncles tried to tell them the movie sucked. Definitely not a personal experience. I would also like to talk to the uncles who are still alive and see and see if they can face what they've done. Well, is that what you want your legacy to be in life? Is to try to take joy from children? Is that? Yeah. anyway, be some good looking in the mirror. The other one that I'll throw out that is, it's almost there, and maybe it's in the works, is I would love a documentary specifically about Ben Burt, not just his Star Wars work,
Yes.
but his entire life. That Music by John Williams documentary they did recently was really good because it's about his music, obviously, but you got to know him as a person and connect dots of his journey. There's that great film, Making Waves, that was about the history of sound design, and Ben Burt is huge in that. But I was lucky to go to a talk that Ben Burt did at the Academy Museum, and actually heard from one of the people at the museum that they usually record the talks, and Ben Burt said specifically, I'd rather not. And this was less a talk and more like a presentation. He had like a slideshow, and he had it all laid out kind of in an hour, the history of his life and sound design and his excitements and his disappointments in his desire to be a director. And he talked about loving the young Indiana Jones experience, where George really kind of nurtured everybody and let them do everything. He's like, there's the episodes of Indiana Jones where I got to do everything. I directed it. I did the sound design. And I think all in genre fans know Ben Burt, but I think the world should know Ben Burt's name as much as the world knows John Williams' name for his contribution, not just to Star Wars, but for sound in film. Like, how much he contributed, people don't fully know.
Oh my gosh. I there was a time when I wanted to be a documentarian, and specifically like around Star Wars stuff, which is why I started doing the Jedi Beats and the Happy Beeps and whatnot. And Ben Burt, I mean, we've talked about this so many times, but if you watch any footage of Star Wars, the raw footage, it is lackluster, right? It's almost comical how like silly it sounds without the power of the sound design that he created, and just like how he blended different sounds. It's so fascinating, and I really hope, it sounds like maybe maybe he's pitched it, maybe somebody had to have approached him.
I would think so. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that's why he's like, yeah, don't record it because I'm working on something.
Good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It was, oh man, some of his behind the scenes stories about like he wasn't just a sound designer. He was also like picking Carrie Fisher up at her house to take her to hair tests.
Oh my gosh.
For the buns, and like, just amazing stories.
Oh.
Yeah, and Jay from Nowhere says Ben Burt was the star of the prequel DVDs. He was. I learned a lot from watching him on those DVDs.
That's true.
Could you actually finally call something Pew Pew Pew, the story of Ben Burt? Could that be it?
Done.
Done.
Pew buzz boom. The power of Ben Burt.
Oh my gosh, Brian, yes. A documentary about cup toppers, Denny solo cards, and other marketing merch tie-ins.
Yes.
I actually had an idea for a Jedi Beat about some of these crazy things like that. There was a Jabba the Hutt thing that was ridiculous. I can't remember. A lot of failed merchandise that they never made. Want to dive in.
And you know the 3PO tape dispenser, right, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I have it starred on eBay. I want it so bad.
That would be really great. I love that kind of weird ephemera of like, I love the toys, and some of the toys are damn weird, but there's a doc to be made of just what is the weirdest kind of most, it seems like it should have been disposable, but it becomes collectible, like the cup toppers.
Yeah.
Those cup toppers and a lot of the Phantom Menace merch that's become its own cult is just wonderfully fascinating to me. So we need to dive in. Jen, we still might need to dive in.
I know. I have a little folder.
Well, and you have some support here from our friend Ken Plume. Says, here's to more docs from Jen. Thank you for the super chat. Very appreciated, of course.
Thank you.
Hogs, Pepsi cans. Yeah, God, those God bless it, Pepsi cans. I had all of them until one of them like popped and leaked, and came home from work one day and just my entire shelf just syrup. All of them. I had to get rid of all of them.
So sad.
This is what I was just thinking, Jeannie. Wasn't there a Jar
Yeah.
Jar lollipop, but his tongue was a candy? Like, that's just wrong.
Mhm.
That's just wrong.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you could do one just on the absolute explosion of Phantom Menace, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bonkers and beautiful. And see if you can get an interview with Leonardo DiCaprio about his infamous Toys R Us photo of
Oh
buying all
God,
the
yeah.
Phantom Menace action figures.
Yes. Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
LQ's got a great follow up here. Do you think Bert is holding off to be included in George's narrative art museum? I don't want to put conspiracies into the world because I fight them often, but
Yeah.
you know, he wasn't. He did come back and do some stuff with Lucasfilm. We know he's been around, but like he was, not as involved as maybe he wanted to be around the time of 7 and beyond. So I'm not saying he'd stick with George, but it seems like he'd stick with George. And if George is like, I'll give you a whole thing.
Yeah, I
Give you a
mean,
wing.
the kind of some of the thrust of his talk was like wanting to make his own things. And the reason he was giving the talk at the museum is he built a display at the Academy Museum that's permanent. So if you're in LA or visiting LA and want to go to the Academy Museum, it's this immersive journey through genre film, specifically sci-fi and space fantasy, and it's gorgeous and amazing. So even if it isn't like here's the Ben Burt documentary room in the narrative arts, like oh man, it would be amazing if he was making another installation like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful suggestions all the way through here as well about Docs. Will Dixon said documentary in the High Republic, the genesis of the concept, decisions on division of writing tasks, tracking the flow of the story between comics, novels, audio dramas. Yeah, I mean, the High Republic fan base is so strong. We're fans of it overall as well, even though we've said we fell behind it. And there was definitely seemed like there was, I don't want to say cameras rolling, but there's, pictures and stuff of some of those meetings. Some of those things on boards like you like, Jen. We're there.
Yes.
Which I remember, there was that one that was just like maybe Daniel Jose Older written dinosaurs on a whiteboard, and people were like, dinosaurs in Star Wars. So there's always a danger.
Yes, dinosaurs in Star Wars.
Yeah, we need more than just the one in the background in Kenobi. With the big blaster.
Right.
Some other good thoughts here. Laserbolt Videos says behind the scenes docs are my favorite things to watch. I would love to see an extensive look at Andor once the series finishes. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. See how season 2 goes. Maddie Gunner says, I would love a music doc where the composers open up the tracks and dive deep into not just different themes, but really open up the hood on the instrumentals. Yeah, I would really love that, especially after watching the music by John Williams. Not that documentary is just about Star Wars at all. It's about John Williams. But it made me feel like, okay, now where's the documentary from all the other people who have now started to compose Star Wars music?
Yeah, we have so much. Yeah, just one of those. There's those, Rick Rubin sitting down with Paul McCartney. Let's bring up track 1. Here's the vocal isolate. Yeah, that'd be fascinating. I know David Collins does a great podcast series. He's done it for years. He's great at that. So give it to him on a major level. Make it official.
So Jules asked about Star Wars related documentaries, which I feel like we have addressed and will continue to address. But are there other documentaries that either of you are interested in?
Yes, all of them. All of them. This is really hard to answer because I love docs that surprise me. I love the big ones. I just based on your recommendation, Joseph, watched the Sinatra one, All or Nothing at All. Fantastic. Though I did have to rent it twice. Thank you, Amazon. Forgot that there was a 48-hour window, which I had to sit and watch all of it. But it was
All
worth
or
it.
Nothing at All twice. Yes.
Fantastic. I could go on for a while on that. But I also, as much as I love that, I love the story of, the dude that would wear fake masks and rob banks in the Pacific Northwest. I didn't expect that doc to be something I wanted to see, but it's fantastic. The doc on Y2K and how it was a real GD threat, and it actually was kind of fixed, and we all kind of think like, it was a big nothing burger. Fascinating 3-part series that came out a couple years ago. So I just love to be surprised by things that I wouldn't think would be made into docs.
Yeah.
Boring answer, but
that's a good answer. Jennifer, how about you? Are there other docs that you are hungering for?
I was really interested in the Lisa Frank documentary, which came out recently. It's a docu-series. I thought was really, really well done. I love anything like capturing, those time periods, like the Cabbage Patch. I'd love a documentary on the Cabbage Patch. The rise of Furby, which I've seen bits and pieces here and there. And then I had an idea of where I'd love to do a documentary on my dad and like his experience in the 1970s. And he was like one of the first like Latino reporters in Orange County and what that was like for him and like for female reporters during that time. He has so many crazy stories. I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah. Kickstart that.
So can we fund that right now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yes. Don't want to stress you out because I know you have a lot on your plate, but that does seem like a really great documentary and a good crowdfunding type.
I know. I can at least record it.
I know. Don't mean to stress you out.
Yeah.
Here's more stuff you should do. I should not have gone last because my answer is a bummer. I think we need a documentary called basically Nazis for the TikTok generation. Like,
yeah.
That comes across jokey, but I did a social media post about this of like I had a teacher in 4th grade. Some kids were scrawling swastikas on the playground, just kind of trying to be edgy, not knowing what it meant. And he really went all in. Is like, this is what it means. And I do feel like, the point of sometimes of a thing like a documentary is keeping the lessons alive. And I'm 50 years old now, and World War II was still pretty fresh when I was 10. It's not. It's history. It's the way back for some people, and I think trying to communicate it to a new generation in a way that they would see it, feel it, hear it. It's not like there isn't information out there about it. There's a few movies, a few documentaries you could watch, but something made in a non-insulting way to talk to people where they're at now. Not in a let's dumb it down for the kids or whatever, but how do you communicate it for the modern generation so they feel it the way I felt it when I was 10?
I think that's absolutely important. It's keeping history alive, with the real truth behind it, and not letting the impact die. It's so easy for that stuff to die. We talk about all the time, that dividing line of the black and white photos versus the color photos. And you're like, oh, that was like 2 years before I was born. Oh boy. Yeah.
There was a display of presidents. It was like dolls at like a mall. It was like some traveling weird display that was at the Brookdale Mall in Brooklyn Center, north of Minneapolis. I went to with my grandma, and my brother and I were so excited to hear the history. We asked her, hey, do you remember these presidents yet? She got pissed. She was like, we're not even at Lincoln. How old do you think I
am? Do you remember Martin Van Buren?
So a Simpsons character, right?
Yeah. UW fan Jim brings a good one, a documentary on all the broken treaties for the tribes of North America, wife and children, tribal members. That would be one of those cases of tough history. And we shouldn't be afraid of tough history to look at straight in the eye and try to understand it, reconcile, be better, move forward. I think that's very valuable. Highly recommend the Ken Burns produced, but he didn't direct it. But the West is the West is hard at times. It's hard. It's hard. But that's a good hard.
Yeah.
Have they done this is kind of segue. Have they done a documentary on Gamergate and how it's kind of like that would be really interesting to connect those dots from Gamergate to where we are to even Star Wars and like the toxic fandom to now? That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. From Gamergate to the White House. The story of America the last 10 years. Yes.
Yeah. Painful. Dots are connected on social media, but it's different to have a sit-down experience that can make you feel it emotionally with the real humans really affected.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. We often talk about inside Star Wars documentaries, and you've talked about pod racing inside Star Wars documentary, and somebody brought that up in the chat as well. Jennifer, are there any like in-world Star Wars documentaries, like the characters in Star Wars are making a documentary about some event in Star Wars that you would be interested in seeing?
I had an idea for a mockumentary that I wanted to do, where it would be like, who are the reporters and the journalists in the galaxy during that time? How are they processing the information? How are they getting the propaganda from the Empire? Like, what do they do with that? How do they get their message out? Is there, like, is there like rogue journalists who are trying to like report on actually what's happening? I thought that'd be interesting. I don't know if it'd necessarily be funny, but
the pod racing sports one is great.
I love
Yeah,
that would be good.
Yeah. Love that. Kicksport Cow says Order 66. I am one. I don't need Order 66 to show up in every story. Glad it didn't really show up in Skeleton Crew. But I still, and I look, because I don't love supercut YouTube video clips of here. But there's one that I watched a couple times on supercut of all the Order 66 scenes thus far. And it's pretty both awesome as a Star Wars fan and sad and overwhelming. And I could see that. But which side would make it? Maybe it's a Palpatine propaganda film we have to be wary about.
I know other people have talked about it, but a music doc, Matty Gunner is saying Spinal Tap, but with fingering down the modal nodes. Hey, I want my beloved Vat Weirdo in there, Lulilo Primarch. Like, I would love something that kind of places a little bit of continuity within the galaxy or cultural perspective of, like, is just wailing music popular everywhere, or is that really looked down on Coruscant? You know, the Jedi Rocks song, I think one of the things that people struggle with is it's far more rock than jazz. It's Jedi Rocks. It's literally not a swing beat. It's a straightforward 4 on the floor rock beat. So was that like incredibly controversial that they were doing a different kind of music at Jabba's palace that day? Of like, among the things that were making Jabba furious was this song selection.
Just cut to Droopy McCool. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was, man.
It's like, we like, what you're suddenly playing country western in a jazz bar. What are you doing? What are you doing, Max Rebo?
I love that. We got some in-story ones here. Our buddy Alden Diaz. What's up, buddy? You should be back to getting back to work there, buddy. Leia Organa solo documentary that gets made in World shortly after the revelation of her parentage and bloodline. Ooh, that'd be good. Charlie Ashby checking in from late afternoon to early evening in the UK. I would only want to document Star Wars if it's not technically 100% correct, but more based on what was available and historians putting ideas together. Love that too.
Yeah, I mean that would be a really great emotional thing if people were trying to put together, like, now what happened on the second Death Star with Luke Skywalker? We've heard rumors. Yeah, hard to find people who witnessed this event.
Yeah.
I love this one. David Attenborough Ewok nature documentary. Absolutely. If there was a way that I could like just take the footage, but maybe I'd have to I wouldn't say I use AI, but somehow disguise my voice so it's like a little bit deeper or something, and just observe the Ewoks in their natural environment. So cool.
They are killing stormtroopers, fighting fascism. Watch as they go pokety poke with their sticks.
An art documentary about all the artists on Naboo. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. See, the in-world ones are fun. I'd love to see each wing, X-wing, Y-wing, B-wing, A-wing, like a doc, talking all the pilots that flew them, why they're better. Maybe just put it all. Maybe the ships of Star Wars.
PLD Project coming in here with the dated reference, which I love. The equivalent of Geraldo Rivera doing the doc on what it's in Hondo's secret vault. Hilarious. Hondo.
I love that. Watch that live. That was a big night in our house.
It was. I watched it live too.
Ooh, there you go.
Speaking of how we got to where we are now. Sensational journalism. All right. Ken, I think we've been collecting some other questions as well as documentaries, right?
That's right. One I wanted Nick had this about docs, so I'm still holding Ron Bergman to his promise of the docuseries made from thousands of hours of The Last Jedi set footage. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we got to share this one that our friend Molly Damon, hello Molly, just shared documentary about the people of At-Atten being introduced to the rest of the galaxy. That would be hilarious.
hmm Would have end of Truman Show vibes. Goodbye. Great stuff. Yeah, other questions coming in here. We are here for about another 20 minutes or so as we record Star Wars questions live. We'll release this as an audio podcast and maybe do some clip outs of this as well. Thanks for being here. We've got this one from Osvetnik. The Star Wars galaxy is full of planets that have one climate: ice planet, volcano planet, beach planet. I love beach. What kind of planet would you like to see in Star Wars, and which would you live on? Who will live on? Kind of question here. Do we not have, Jen? Do we not have a weather system that you want to live on in Star Wars?
I'm trying to think of what we haven't. You know what I'd love to see is maybe like a rainforest type of planet, just because I want it to be filled with lots of creatures and like kind of vibrant. What is it, Felucia? Like kind of like vibrant colors, like I don't know, lots of weird plants, almost like Avatar, maybe. I don't know. It could be really interesting. Sorry, there's hammering going on in the background.
That's right. It's the Hammering of the Empire by the Ewoks. Yeah, I don't know. Because I like forests, and Endor's really Northern California, which I wasn't too far from growing up, and my neck of the woods has that kind of feel in some spots, including the beach. We have a forest on the beach, so I kind of like that vibe. That's where I'd live on. But as far as one big giant planet, I wouldn't mind another. And we've got a Hosnian Prime, that kind of, but like another planet city that's not as big as Coruscant, but has a chip on its shoulder, kind of the Second City vibes. I just would like to see that. Our planet has 10% more trees. Come here.
I
Come to
think
CityCon.
I think I've mentioned this before, but in the 80s, Minneapolis had a promotion describing the city as the mini Apple, which was basically a sort of passive aggressive. We're not as big as New York, but we're just as cool. It's like, come on, you're cool just the way you are. You don't need to be the second best New York. You're the number one best Minneapolis, and that's fine. Right. Just be you, Minneapolis.
That's so funny.
Yeah, for existing Star Wars planets, I think Naboo defies a little bit of the one climate type place. You know, you got the beautiful rolling hills, you got the Lake District, you got the under the water district, you got a little bit of sort of foresty area that Qui-Gon meets Jar Jar in. So Naboo seems like the best planet to live on for me.
That's true. That's actually true.
For the environment we haven't seen, I want Dirty Winter Planet, because we've seen lots of frozen tundra, vast, undisturbed snowbanks like Hoth in the Tall's home planet in Clone Wars, and you got a little of that with Kijimi. But what happens in places where there really is snow in any sort of industry is the snow gets mixed with dirt. In Minneapolis, it's called snert, because it's snow and dirt, and it's not the beautiful snowfall that you see on television shows. It's the grimy, real, lived-in snow. So I would like to see a snert planet.
I think that's the name of the planet.
Snertica
or something like that.
Snertica.
Snertica. The Snorks. Anyone remember the Snorks?
Snorks. Indeed. Love that. Yeah. I love the lived on question, because it always changes. Like I think I might want to spend some time on Manhattan. I like the suburbs. I like the open parking. I might want to go there.
Yeah. Ken, how about a bar planet where the whole planet's one big bar?
Yeah, which kind of describes Boston, right? So yeah, let's absolutely let's do that.
Maddie Gunner, Star Wars version of Ibiza party planet. That would be so fun to see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Techno music. Yeah.
A little bit more on Niamos too. You know.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You pretty much can go to Niamos. It's a very real place where they shot it. So
yeah.
I think we got a couple of super chats.
We do. We got a very generous super chat from our buddy Corey Hendrickson. Thank you, Corey. He also had a question here. Do any of you ever want to actually learn to fly real world aircraft because of Star Wars? I know I did. And I have heard that before. I've heard that from folks. I've become a pilot because I wanted to fly an X-Wing, all that kind of stuff. Quick answer for me. Oh, no. Big no. No, thanks. I love flying. I still don't think it should happen. I still in my head, I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this. So I can't learn to fly.
Do you want to ride the wind? Yeah, I mean, yes, I would love to. Yeah, when a Star Wars flying video game works for me, that feeling of freedom, of going any direction, accelerating, deaccelerating, spinning, turning. Spinning is a great trick. Damn it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure if that is something that I will have time to learn, or money. But yeah, I would, and I would be very responsible. But in my head, I would be like, yes, yep. All wings report in. I would be flying commercial jets and mumbling to my co-pilot, "We're passing through the magnetic field," and worrying the people with me. Yep.
Jed, no.
No, absolutely not. Can you know my fear of flying?
That's true.
It's really, especially lately with small planes and all sorts of planes. Yeah, right. There was a game. Was it Battlefront? I can't remember. Which one it was. Was I piloting? What was I piloting? Anyways, it was very squirrely and very difficult to control. And I was like, no, I should never be in the cockpit. What do they call it now? They call it something else. But I should never be flying.
Yep.
Don't put me in charge on land. Driving a car.
Yeah, and then I know the stats. You're less likely. I get it. But our buddy Laserbolt says I always want to fly because my dad is flying. Laserbolt has a great YouTube channel, Laserbolt Videos, where he just does flight simulators, like Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's very relaxing to watch, and it's so realistic. And I remember watching one of them, and I thought, I don't know, maybe I could. I need a job. Maybe I could be a pilot. Nah, I can't.
Maybe
there's too many buttons in my car right now.
I like Charlie Ashby's take. I don't think learning to fly is a prequel trilogy kid would be good advice unless you're happy with flying half a sheep.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Corey. And let us know when you take off. Oops, sorry. Trying to clear that. Apologize. We got Victor checking in here. What can we expect from ForceCenter for Star Wars Celebration? Jen, do you got that last sentence? I don't.
Amigos, sois los mejores. You love friends. We're the best.
Kiro is want friends, right?
But it can also be love.
Wonderful.
Or want. Yeah, it could be want.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
What can you expect from us at Star Wars Celebration? That's a great question.
Yeah.
You expect us to actually discuss it amongst ourselves? I am not going to Japan. I would absolutely love to, but it is just not in the cards for me. Just can't do it this year. I really, really, really wanted to. And seriously considered it, but for myself, it would put me so far behind on finishing the film that I've been working on. My wife and I looked each other in the eyes and said, if we go to Japan for Star Wars Celebration, we're staying in Japan for a while, right? Like, yep. So for us, it was just like it would need to be a longer trip to I couldn't deal with being like, I went to Japan. What did you see? Mostly inside of a convention center. Like I couldn't cope with that. So anyway, thrilled that everybody's going, and we haven't really discussed if we're going to be doing some breaking news shows over the weekend or what. We haven't actually discussed that yet.
Yeah, I imagine some form of that will emerge as we get closer and we know what the panels are and can understand and deal with the time difference. That's going to be fascinating this time around, as it was in London and everything for folks back over here where we are. But yeah, absolutely. It'd be fun. It'd be a couch con. The FOMO will be absolutely real. Got a lot of friends going, a lot of people here in chat, and it's just not in the cards in many ways for ForceCenter this year. But we're definitely very interested. That's going to be 3 days of revelation. So curious.
I really, like you said, really wanted to be in Japan, but I have to admit, the Couch Con, as various people have called it, ourselves included. In some ways, I'm excited to be like, but it'll be a lot easier to cover the news,
It
not
absolutely
actually
will.
being there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I want to be on the floor, I want to be talking to people, and at home, and it's just the news drop, then we can focus on the news a little bit more.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're at those conventions, like you're so in the thick of it, even if you're just walking the floor and eating a snack, like the news doesn't come to you right away. You know, that's the
No.
thing.
Yeah, that's so true. Right. Because panels are happening and you're not getting cell service or whatever.
Right.
Oof. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So shout out to everyone having a good hotel lobby bar drink without us. Happy everyone gets to go. Who's going? All right, that one there. Where we got this one from Patrick came in earlier in the show. Patrick Rogler, have you seen the Ahsoka Blu-ray bonus featurettes? We need an Ahsoka gallery episode. I have not. You? Oh,
I have not picked up. The only the physical media I've picked up so far is Kenobi, and I got the first season of Mandalorian, and I want to pick up some of the others because I want to support them. So I'll get them eventually, but I haven't watched any of the Ahsoka stuff.
same. Jen, you?
No, I need a Blu-ray player. I don't think mine works anymore. I need to I need to start buying more physical media because I'm worried that things are going to disappear and be like the Disney vault back in the day. Go in the vault, go Cinderella. You can't see it for another 20 years. I never liked Cinderella though. I digress.
Try by
Just the way
Cinderella.
There was something about the way you said that. It was really like not the movie, but Cinderella as a person. I never liked Cinderella.
I love the Cinderellas that I worked with. They were very, very nice. The character, I love Jacques and Gus the mice. That's who I loved from that movie.
Okay.
Anyways, so yeah, it's important to buy physical media, and I'd like to pick up Ahsoka. I'd love to pick up all the Star Wars shows. It's important.
Yeah, they're spendy. I'm trying to. Well, I don't remember how much they are on Amazon, but like I tried to buy them in person at my local indie store of Amoeba, and they're like $60-$70. Like they're
what?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'll be
back in the vault
for a while. Back in the vault.
Back in the vault you go. It's a shame. I do want to watch an Ahsoka gallery. I want to watch a gallery on every series. I do love those, and I do agree with Laserwold's comment earlier in the show. Sometimes some of them have the promotional vibe, which isn't unique to Star Wars. The Kenobi doc is both fascinating, and there was a couple moments where like, I get who the Inquisitors are. We don't need that voiceover read explaining, but other people don't. So that's just me. But yeah, fascinating because just fascinated to watch the creative process on all the shows and all the people involved, and it's just fun. It's fun.
Let's focus on the most important thing of our live stream.
I just was gonna bring that up.
Big Lou's Clubhouse says, I dated a Cinderella when I worked at Disney back in the day.
Amazing. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
God, that's a doc I want. Beneath the Tunnels, the true stories of Disneyland and Disney World.
Dating Cinderella. Tunnel romance.
Subtle romance there. Love that here. Let's see. What else we got? A couple more here. We'll be here for a few more minutes. We got a question. Get it in. JC. Do we feel like Andor season 2 will embrace more of the world and include more fun creatures? What's something silly you want to appear? For me, it's Nix from Outlaws Sneak By. Ooh, Nix is a great character. Nix is wonderful. I started reading that question and thought it was going to go in a different direction. I was going to deal with the real world. I think it's very much going to be dealing with the real world. But as far as the Star Wars world, fun creatures, characters, yeah, I for some reason I'm expecting a little more, just because this second season seems to be pushing towards the Star Wars we're very familiar with, New Hope, leading into Rogue One, all that stuff. So I would imagine that you would almost by necessity, you'd have to have a Radis or an Akbar or someone around you. I'm not expecting those characters, but I wouldn't mind seeing someone like that.
I have got high hopes for Ori, Marco, and Drizilian content because they are one of the the action figure that I knew is Prune Face, later Ori Marco, and since they are associated with the rebellion, and the publishing side has had lots of great stories about that group's commitment to rebellion, I would love to see some of them. Yeah, I was watching some clips. I think it just fell down a YouTube rabbit hole and was watching some clips of Narkina 5 and great Kino Loy. And for me, I almost hope that they include like a Rhodian prison. That I want it to be like the reason there's nothing else there is that prison is horrible on many levels and also racist from the Empire. And that I would love to almost explore it as the Empire is, keeping the humans separate from the other species that they are looking down on.
Yeah, because it seems to say flippant to say there's canon about that, but just there early on there was that's kind of what Palpatine was about. That was even some of the Thrawn stuff that's in the modern Thrawn, but even going back in the day on the 90s Thrawn of I was not what Palpatine wanted. I was an alien species here in his empire, but he couldn't ignore me. So yeah, would make sense.
Love it.
Yeah, Jennifer, you are a big creature fan. What are your creature hopes for Andor season 2?
When I think about the creatures in Andor or the aliens, I'm like, oh, there were some, and they were used right. It's not going to be Book of Boba Fett, which was like the best of the best for me. So yeah, they kind of it's always surprising when they show up or incorporated. So I'm curious to see. I just want, again, here's a behind the scenes thing. I just want to see Tony Gilroy having to interact with it or having to call it by the species name, because he's like, that Greedo, they're like Rhodian. Yeah, that. I just want to see those kind of behind the scenes moments.
I do want him. Yeah. The name is Ori Marco. Please do not use the action figure name. It is actually deeply offensive.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd love that. And David Mackay says, Andor season 2, got to show how Cassian met Bistan, the space monkey. And then he says Bistan like you say it, Jen, and then the universe cheers.
Bistan. There's a name I have not heard.
Yeah, remember the golden ages of just celebrating a character named Bistan? Well, 2016, early 2016. Where are you? There you go. If you had to cosplay as a Jedi, as UW fan Jim, who would you pick? Character, new creation, Jen? Where would you go?
I love Ahsoka's white costume. Ahsoka the White. I just love all of it. That's what I would do. Yeah. I just couldn't. I'd have to make the thing out of foam. The what is it? The Leku. That'd be tricky. Love it.
Absolutely. Whatever Jedi I'd be, it would be one that'd be the easiest to get in and out of the costume if I'm going around the convention floor. Kiadi Mundi. Oh, that seems like a lot of work. Yeah. So maybe a Qui-Gon. Rael Alvarez would be fun.
Yeah.
You could drink while you're doing it with their conscience.
My choice would just be what Kenobi era. I saw that one person. I don't know if they just took a shower and were already just wearing episode 2 Kenobi, but I want to believe that they were actually cosplaying wet Kenobi from his scenes on Camino, because the hair was back exactly as Kenobi's is, and he had the perfect space mullet. It was beautiful. I love a lot of Kenobi's looks from the most recent series. So blue shirt Kenobi, or his final look, but definitely the rolled up cuffs on Kenobi in that series they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, just some generic. Create a Jedi would be fun too. Create your own character. Aaron Mote says I could do Master Douglas from the High Republic. I remember Master Douglas. I don't remember what he looks like, but I'll take it.
Douglas Sunvale, right? He was he was described as sloppy. So I think that they're trying to give you an out, right? Let there be crumbs in this.
That's perfect. I'll take it. There you go. Okay, I'm looking at. Okay, there's okay. I could dig. All right, I'll dig it. Sloppy Jedi. I got that one there. What else have we got? A few more minutes left here. Got some questions. Get them in here. Thanks for tuning in for the first ever Star Wars Questions Live. Lapty Deck Doc about how social media has impacted Star Wars and its fandom, including the community, fostered by Star Wars podcasters. That'd be fascinating. I read Lapty Neck and I just thought, yeah, let's do a doc about that Lapty Neck song, which we should do as well. But no, that'd be, I mean, because it's not just because something that we're in, but everyone here is part of that kind of thing, part of this big community that was completely different from the '80s, completely different from the '90s, 2000s, despite message boards and websites and stuff existing. It's something different now, and it's both good and bad, and I think it needs to be explored.
Yeah, and I love it when we hear from creators about how much they pay attention and how much it affects them or doesn't affect them. And John and Lacey over at the Resistance broadcast did that great interview with Christopher Ford, right?
Yeah.
And he had a great quote there about talking about watching some of the shows and listening to some of the podcasts and being really intrigued by what people came up with, but also nervous of like, are they going to fall in love with something that isn't going to happen? Like that's such a great tension.
It could be like a 3-part series. So you'd focus on the original trilogy fans, then on the prequel fans, then on the sequel era fans. I love watching some of the original footage when they interview the fans in line or whatnot for Star Wars. It's just so fascinating. And then you have modern day creators who were those kids in the theater who were impacted by it. It would be really cool. That'd be interesting. Keep it positive.
Yeah, years ago at the old job, we were working with Verizon and they wanted wrestling shows, and I pitched a wrestling generation show that was like, say there's a dad who grew up liking Rowdy Piper and now his daughter likes Sheamus or something, and sitting down with both of them and talking about growing up a fan now, and the generational exchange between them, and finding the ties that bind on different generations loving something that's big and wide and far. I got to know, but I'd like to do it.
Good.
We'll crowdfund that one
too. Shout out to our buddy Michael for the Figure Report. Subscribe to Michael's channel. He's been working on his book, Bro Dameron, for the last 10 years. So I'm just going to add him, Michael. His brother might have had a little something to do with Star Wars. Maybe flew an X-Wing. So, Michael, I want a documentary on why they could not get your brother's face right in action figure form. I want that.
It's just, I think you can't capture that, right?
He's so handsome.
Your beautiful, handsome brother could not be captured in plastic. So
paintings of the sun are beautiful. However, can they ever be?
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
Too handsome for plastic there. Love that there. And thank you for the super chat, UW fan Jim. I think it's Big Lou asked this, but Big Lou, you were late to the show, so we already answered this one. Big Lou, we already answered. Sorry. And we talked about pod racing. And Michael says he's been investigating this crime for years. So there you go. All right. Do you see any others in there for you all?
No. There's always great stuff in here.
Always is indeed. A lot of fun, and we intend to do this every Monday. Sit down, record questions live with you all, and hopefully you all want to pop in here and ask us the tough, hard-hitting questions like we did today. So there you go. And Eric, I saw you, Eric Elliott. He's crying that we're leaving, but he did post again what we think about the Ray Zillow theory. We still have to research it. I still don't know.
Oh my gosh!
Still came up on the last live stream, Jen, that we did last week. I still have to take a deep dive into it. So
that sounds fascinating.
Yes,
I'm gonna dive into Reddit.
There you go. All right, that's it. We've done it. We've recorded Star Wars Questions live. Thanks for listening. You can find us on social media, especially Blue Sky ForceCenter Pod. That's where you're going to want to hang out with us. We are available as a podcast anywhere. Search iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. As I Want to highlight, we re-released Databank Brawl. Databank Brawl Rewind series is podcast only every Sunday. We're up to about episode 57, so join us there for that. Merch available 2 spots, tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter, and links down below on YouTube for their Fourth Wall shop. We'll be adding merch shortly there, and patreon.com/ForceCenter is where you can support us directly. And there you get to ask the questions that, like the one Joseph picked today about the documentaries. So cool stuff. Follow me at Catnapsuck, or my website, catnapsuck.com, which includes my shop. I'm pushing people to the shop to get some things before I have to close the shop. So it's there if you'd like. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find me on all those social media sites at Jennifer Landa. And thank you all for inspiring me. I'm going to write down all my ideas for these, I don't know, Jedi beats, whatever they are, because some good ones.
And a very good one about your father.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just really by default a Star Wars documentary.
Absolutely.
It's about my father. Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky. You can also check out the blog letter, as I've been calling it. It's a blog. It's a newsletter. I put it out every week called Finish Your Monsters. It is about creative journeys, life journeys, and trying to help keep people inspired to find some time in their life for creativity. I would love to get a few more people subscribed. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, and there's a link right there to subscribe to that newsletter.
There you go. That's it. A lot of fun hanging out with you here on this Monday. News tomorrow. Talk about Sigourney Weaver, new people in power at Lucasfilm. It's all coming tomorrow. So we'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.